Dr. Aashray Gupta. Dr. Gupta is a surgical registrar in New South Wales, and his PhD is supported by the NHMRC and focuses on contemporary challenges in coronary revascularisation. Dr. Gupta will be discussing strategies to begin your research journey. So thank you very much, Dr. Gupta.
Thanks for the introduction and thanks for the opportunity to speak. A few disclosures. Firstly, I am on call, so if I do need to take a phone call, I do apologise in advance. We're a bit short-staffed, so there's no way around it. Secondly, Josh is one of my very good friends. A lot of the principles he's spoken about, I'll go into a bit more detail here. A lot of our work is collaborative. We work very closely together, and we've worked together very closely for a very long time, and will do, I assume, for the rest of our careers. And thirdly, this talk is not just my work. This is a collection of concepts, a collection of presentations put together by our collaborators, which includes Associate Professor Stephen Batchy and Dr. Brandon Stretton, based in Adelaide, as well as Dr. Amar Zaka, who's in Queensland, and Daksh, who's the president of this association, who's also worked very closely with us. Next slide, thanks. Thank you. So look, this is just me. So I work currently in cardiothoracic surgery at the John Hunter, but I've worked in other places in New South Wales and Queensland. I'm currently also working towards the final stages of my PhD, which has been supported by the NHMRC. There's not much more interesting about me, to be totally honest, and I don't think you guys care too much. Next slide. So why do you do research? So look, essentially the point of the whole goal of all this is to use science to reliably improve patient care. And with clinical work, you see one patient, you operate on one patient, you help one patient, or the patient in front of you. If you write a paper that has significant impact, or if you have a study that has significant impact, you have the potential to make large-scale improvements to patient care. Patients all around the globe can benefit from your work. And that's why we join medicine, and that's why research can really result in large-scale improvements. It's creative, which I like. It's not a skill that particularly I have. Creativity is not my strong suit, but through research I've developed it, and collaborating with others, which is a big part of what we do. So how do you start a research project? Well, when you're on the wards, when you're in the clinic, when you're in the operating room, find something that you think can be improved. Why are all our patients after heart surgery getting arrhythmias? Well, look it up. You have all these tools at your disposal: Google Scholar, PubMed, Embase. The great thing about Google Scholar, give you the top 10 cited papers in for the question that you ask. So you can say, why do we use beta blockers after atrial fibrillation, to treat atrial fibrillation after surgery? And have a look at the results. And if the results of all the studies say there's no evidence for beta blockers, well, there's a question for you. You can now do a prospective study, or you can do a systematic review of the literature. And we know that systematic reviews of randomized controlled trials are the highest evidence level. And that can easily be done with limited resources. Whenever you're designing a study, whenever you're proposing a study, make sure you know what you're measuring. So the hard thing in, say, psychiatry research or stroke research is, how do you define someone's functionality? How do you define someone's mental health? Well, there's tools we've all used. There's the DSM criteria. There's the modified Rankin score. So that's universally known amongst specialists, to define functionality after a major stroke. It's a score of 0 and 1 and 2, so it's easily definable, and it's validated. Whenever you start a project, make sure you know what you need. Uh, what ethics approvals you're going to need. I don't want you starting a project and then realize that you need a $10,000 computer software to run your study, because who's going to give you the money for it? You should have thought about it before you started. Make sure you collaborate early. Find out people that are going to be important to completing your project, and incorporate their guidance. And there's a meet with them early. Find out what their expertise is. Have they done something similar? What's their advice? What roadblocks have they encountered? Because you should learn from them. Next slide, please. So, as I said, learn from our mistakes. Collaborate and seek guidance early. Everything takes longer than you expect. If you start now, your project is not going to finish in for 12 or 18 months. And Josh has talked about the benefits of full-time research. I haven't done full-time research, but and we I discouraged Josh to do full-time research many years ago. He didn't take my advice, and I'm glad he didn't, because the results of are, there for all to see. So I think there are significant benefits of doing full-time research. If you start something, see it through to the end, because it's not just you that's invested in a project, it's a whole group of people that you've involved, and everyone's put in some effort. And to respect everyone, you should ensure that they get the reward for their effort. So make sure that you finish whatever you start. It can take a long time, as I'll illustrate. Okay. Think long term. If you're serious about changing a life, then start now. Next. So look, this is I quite enjoy investing in the stock market. The best benefits, the best returns you get are in the outer years. Don't try and time the market. How long you're in the market will have a direct correlation to your returns. So start now. So how? Well, two ways. You can either, the simple strategies is join onto an existing project that's going, talk to your supervisor, talk to, one of your registrars or your fellows, or intern, or, anyone around you that's involved in research, see what they're doing, see if you can help out. If you can't, start your own project, come up with an idea, take it to a senior, and get going. But it's a long run, as I'm going to explain. So, next slide. I started this paper when I was a junior medical student. It took me 12 months to get to a first manuscript, and it took me another 12 months to get to my final draft. So I spent 12 months, as long, if not longer, drafting the manuscript as I did in writing it and collecting all the data and analyzing it in the first place. I went through 18 drafts. I had no idea what I was doing. But I got a paper out of it. And if you go to the next slide, well, this just shows, no, go back to that one, because I just want to show you that your growth will not be linear. So you start, as Josh did in 2019, and, within 3 years, he's got 30 papers per year. And if you looked at his charts now, I've not shown his, 23, 24, 25, because it would be unsociable to show what Josh's output's been in the last couple of years. Next slide. But, the evidence here, so that one paper, it's the same paper done like 8 times over, in various aspects. So that was neurosurgical mortality. Here's one in cardiothoracic mortality. The next one, technical factors affecting cardiac mortality. The next one, mortality in cardiac surgery. The next one, mortality in urology. So I've, used the same principles from my first paper, and I've gotten another 8 papers out of it. So Your first one's the hardest. The growth will be exponential with time. So Josh and I started this in 2017, right? This was our first paper that we worked together. Um, we had very limited idea what we were doing. It's just us two and a very senior professor. So we scratched our heads. We had all meetings and meetings and meetings, and this published in 2021, and it's now. I'm not sure if it's Josh's highest cited paper, but it certainly is my highest cited paper. It's got over 60 citations, and we it just shows that this, it can take 3 or 4 years to get an end result, but what you learn along the way is often the most valuable. This is probably our landmark study as part of our group, the Adelaide score, and it's certainly yielded in a lot of benefits. It's a demonstration of an area of work which we're finding is unique to what we're doing as a group, and it's artificial intelligence specifically in surgery, but not just limited to surgery. We've got a lot of studies, primary and secondary, running in this stream. And as Josh showed, it's gotten a lot of media attention, as you see if you flick the page. Yeah. So, we've demonstrated $750,000 of savings in a mid-sized hospital in Adelaide, the Lyell McEwan Hospital, which is a mid-sized hospital, over 4 weeks. And this is being implemented, and there's another study coming out that shows what happens when the Adelaide score is withdrawn. And there are potential opportunities at a later stage to try and take this sort of work to the corporate world. So what you do in research as a junior doctor, as a medical student, does have applicability to the real world. You guys have all, I'm sure, been studying hard for your exams lately, especially the OSCEs. You've all, I'm sure, read Tally and O'Connor. Part of what we've done and part of the work we've done is led us to actually writing co-authoring some papers with the great Professor Tally. So it just shows that you can really dance with the best of them once you have some skills. So look, we've talked about, Josh has talked about work-life balance. I'll just harp on it. This is a long road. Don't burn yourself early. Work hard, work very hard. But make sure you know when to take a break and look after yourselves. And you can do multiple things at once. So you can chew gum and walk at the same time. You might start a paper, you might send it to ethics review, or you can start another paper. Draft a proposal for another paper. Once the ethics review comes back, you'll work hard on the data, but then you'll need a statistician. So whilst the statistician's looking at it, you can collect the data for the next paper, and all this, over time, will show that you can do many things at once. And once you've done lots of things, you can get recognition for it. Next slide. So now this is the part of the talk where I want to discuss how to really think about your future from a research perspective, and different pathways that you can take. The first one, next slide, is choosing your own adventure. So contact a supervisor, find someone, any doctor or any scientist really doing research in something that you're interested in. It doesn't even have to be directly related to the field that you're interested in, but the skills that you develop will come in handy. Email them, asking for a meeting, study hard for the meeting, find out what does the research, what does this doctor or clinician do, what have they published, read relevant literature, find out what their past work is, and can you follow on with that. And make sure that you make yourself available. They might ask you to meet at 7 a.m. On a Saturday morning, during your holiday break, well, if you want to join the journey, uh, make sure you're there at 6:50 on Saturday morning. Um, Follow their guidance and make sure you follow up with the supervisor and thank them for any time that they've given you, even if it didn't directly result in a direct benefit for you, because just the time that they've invested in you is going to be beneficial for you, regardless of what happens down the line. You can join a paper day. So we've, as the health information group, which I've helped Josh with. Often we run sessions or days where we'll do multiple papers at once, mainly systematic reviews. And if you take the QR code, you can find our group on Facebook, and we will add you. And we'll let you know when the next one is, which should be hopefully in the next month or two. So, you can get your name on papers on that. And these have been journal formats, have been journal clubs previously, where we've had mixes of junior medical students all the way to see very senior professors, and discuss research. And, we'll try and, if you're interested in having one of these at your medical school, or in your city, let us know, and we can try and organize it. Um, this is not for the faint-hearted, playing the long game. You will have very little benefit for potentially a long time. But as I said, the benefits are in the out years. So if you want to start a higher degree by research, I would strongly encourage you. So there's a really important article that I read in the Wall Street Journal, that competition is for losers, and it summarizes. It's a catchy title that summarizes a lecture given at Stanford by uh, Peter Thiel, who's a tech founder, and really the crux of the message is that don't try and compete with other people. Don't try and, it's not a zero-sum game. What's good for you might be good for someone else too. And so you can work together, you can collaborate. You can find your own niche and your own pathway and excel in it. And it doesn't have to be to the detriment of someone else. And often I find people who compete, everyone loses. So don't compete. If you do the same things as others, you will inevitably get the same result as others. So, as Josh said, if you want extraordinary results, you need to do extraordinary things. Um, and if it's extraordinary, it's probably not going to be easy. If it's easy, it's probably already been done, or it's not worth doing. Everything has a choice, and a trade-off. If you invest time and effort in one path, in one aspect of your life, there will be compromises in other aspects of your life. Um, and that's, because we live in a specialized world where people excel in their own fields. Um, and if you're not excelling in your field, then someone else is. So I think that's important to note. A PhD, I know a lot of students approach me, a lot of junior doctors approach and senior, doctors approach me about getting involved with a PhD. It's not easy. It takes a lot of effort, and if you're going to invest the time and effort to do a PhD, then make sure that you're certain that research is going to be a big part of your life in the future. Otherwise, it's a lot of sunk time for very little benefit. All you get is a degree, doesn't really have much clinical utility and benefit for your clinical career, um, in terms of the work that you're going to be doing every day. It will have benefits in terms of your um, career progression. Certainly, once you're progressing from resident to registrar to fellow to consultant, but in terms of your day-to-day work, it's not going to have much benefit. But if you are prepared to put in exceptional amounts of effort, then I have no doubt you will be able to do this. So that's enough of me being the Grim Reaper and breaking all the bad news. Um, if you are interested in doing a HDR, uh, for any supervisor, you can contact me, you can contact Josh, and you can also contact Daksh. Daksh is a very exceptional medical student who's the president of this society. And you know, if I'm pretty friendly, but if Josh is too intimidating for you to approach, then contact Daksh, and he can sort of get you in touch with us too. But before you do that, put together a CV. I don't want to see type errors or formatting errors. It's even easier now because ChatGPT will do it all for you. And send me a proposal for a potential idea. I don't really mind. Um, I don't really mind how good or how realistic your idea is. I just want to see the thought and the effort, because if you can't help yourself, then I can't help you. Um, so challenge yourself.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta, for that informative presentation and for breaking down the formation of research and the perseverance need at the beginning and throughout the journey. And then also discussing as well your own research journey. I know I'm personally quite naive to research, so I really found that very interesting, and it's quite inspirational to see how open you guys are to supporting us through our beginning as well. So moving on, I'd like to present our next speaker. So